Welcome to The Mirage and the Truth. Have you ever just stopped to wonder if the things you're chasing right now, the goals you're obsessing over, the very reality you wake up to every single day, are actually just an elaborate illusion? In this explainer, we're going to explore a profoundly unsettling yet deeply illuminating perspective on the human lifespan. It's a perspective that strips away all the noise of our daily lives and exposes the raw, unvarnished truth about time, distraction, and the suddenness of our own inevitable end. To really wrap our heads around this, we're looking at a 7th century text. Specifically, we're diving into a passage from the Quran in Surah Al-Hadid, which offers this timeless and, honestly, devastatingly accurate breakdown of human existence. The text kicks off with a striking declaration, urging us to recognize that the worldly life is, at its core, simply amusement and play. We're going to use this fascinating source material to guide us through a journey of our own daily distractions. We'll unpack exactly how we fall for the mirage, stage by stage, and what actually happens when the illusion abruptly shatters. Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1. The 5 stages of illusion. What's truly remarkable about this ancient text is how perfectly it maps out the human lifespan. It's like a predictable psychological blueprint. It literally categorizes our entire journey on this earth into 5 distinct phases, showing how our obsessions just kind of shapeshift as we get older. First, there's play. This is childhood, right? Where your main drive is just to play games, wanting to play constantly before falling asleep, only to wake up and do it all over again. Then, as we grow a bit older, play just isn't enough. We enter amusement or law, seeking pure entertainment and emotional highs during our youth. As we step into adulthood, the obsession shifts to adornment. This is a phase hyper-focused on aesthetics, where how things look becomes way more important than what they actually do. Following that is our prime, marked by boasting, where we absolutely need the world to validate our achievements. And finally, late adulthood becomes all about multiplication. That relentless drive to hoard wealth, accumulate property, and boast about the number of kids we have or the scale of our legacy as a CEO. Let's ground this in our modern reality for a second, starting with that second stage, amusement. The source material describes this as engaging in things that feel enjoyable in the moment, but ultimately yield zero long-term benefit. Today, well, this translates to spending 10 hours a day just staring at a phone screen. It's the endless, mindless scrolling through YouTube and Facebook. It's sitting in empty cafe hangouts for hours, engaging in idle gossip. We are literally trading the extremely limited, precious hours of our short lives for cheap digital dopamine hits and useless chatter, completely losing sight of any real, enduring purpose. And, as we age out of pure amusement, we graduate right into the exhausting phases of adornment and boasting. We obsess over the mirror. We absolutely need the sleekest car, not necessarily to get from point A to point B, but because the aesthetic matters way more than the function. We want to be able to say, look at me. I'm top of my class. I'm in the top 40 of my industry. I'm the CEO. On the surface, sure, these sound like incredible, glittering achievements, but the text challenges us to see that, without a higher purpose, these are really just flashy, empty badges that hold absolutely no value in the grander scheme of existence. To really drive this point home, the text transitions into part 2, the green plant metaphor. Having outlined those 5 stages of human distraction, the verse gives us an agricultural story. It's the story of the rain, the farmer, and the seed, and it perfectly encapsulates the tragic arc of our worldly pursuits. It describes a beautiful, heavy rain called a gaith, falling on the earth. It then uses a very specific word, kufar. Now, in this particular agricultural context, kufar refers to the farmers, the ones who physically cover the seeds with dirt. Just imagine this farmer watching as the rain causes a tiny, beautiful green plant to sprout. The plant grows tall, thick, and vibrant. The farmer is absolutely thrilled. This vibrant green growth represents the absolute peak of our worldly life, our youth, our physical beauty, our wealth, our boasting. It's that exact moment when everything is flourishing, and the farmer is simply waiting to reap the ultimate reward of his hard work. But then, the narrative just stops. Part 3. The flash-forward effect. The text does something entirely unexpected here. It violently breaks our anticipation. Just as the farmer is getting ready to enjoy the fruits of his labor, the verse introduces a cinematic, truly jarring shift. In storytelling, a flash-forward is a sudden jump in the narrative that deliberately skips over a highly anticipated event, thrusting the audience straight into a stark, unavoidable future reality. Well, the text does exactly this. It sets us up to witness the farmer's joyous harvest, but instead of showing us the harvest, it skips it entirely. It catches the reader completely off guard. And this brilliantly illustrates the central illusion of our lives. On one hand, we have our deep-seated expectation. We fully expect that after all our years of boasting, multiplying wealth, and adorning ourselves, we'll finally get to sit back and enjoy the ripe harvest of a long, fulfilling life. But the Quranic reality presented in the verse is starkly different. There is no harvest. Instead, the text suddenly says, then you see it turn yellow, then it becomes scattered debris. The vibrant green life instantly withers, turns a sickly yellow, and crumbles right into worthless, trampled dust. The harvest is skipped. Only the yellow dust remains. I really want you to feel the visceral shock of this metaphor. Just like that vibrant plant suddenly turning into dry, worthless debris that people just step on, our lives, our physical bodies, and our carefully curated worldly achievements can end in an absolute instant. This flash forward mirrors the breathtaking speed of life. It warns us that our end will catch us completely off guard, long before we ever reach that imagined harvest we've been meticulously planning for. Which brings us to part 4, the ultimate reality. This sudden destruction of the plant isn't just a metaphor for death. It's the immediate prelude to what comes next. Once the illusion shatters, once the mirage fades and the dust actually settles, we are immediately thrust into the ultimate reality of the hereafter. And the text makes it incredibly clear that this reality arrives much faster than any of us are prepared for. When that moment hits, all the nuance and complexity of our worldly distractions completely vanish, leaving only 2 possible, starkly different final outcomes. The text outlines them without sugarcoating a single thing. Outcome 1, severe punishment for those who spent their entire fleeting existence lost in amusement, boasting, and the blind accumulation of wealth. Or outcome 2, ultimate forgiveness and pleasure from God. There is no third option. The game ends, and the final score is permanently tallied based on what you actually prioritized. So, the crucial point is captured perfectly in the closing line of this profound verse. And what is the worldly life except the enjoyment of delusion? All those hours spent doom-scrolling, all the energy wasted on bragging about a job title, all the anxiety over having the newest car, it's all just a mirage. It's a temporary enjoyment of a delusion that actively distracts us from the rapid approach of our inevitable end. But listen, this analysis doesn't end on a note of despair. Let's look at part 5, racing toward the truth. The very next verse in the text offers a lifeline. It shows us exactly how to break free from the mirage and stop wasting the incredibly short time we have on this earth. The directive is to stop passively wandering and start actively racing. On one side, you have the destructive, empty behaviors of the worldly illusion, sitting in empty cafes, tearing people down. The source is even drawn on another verse to highlight how vile gossiping and backbiting truly are, literally comparing them to the horrific act of eating a dead brother's flesh. It's toxic and it drains your life away. But on the other side is the alternative, racing toward forgiveness from your Lord and racing toward a garden, a paradise, whose width is like the width of the heavens and the earth. This grand reward is actively prepared for those who understand the brevity of life and simply refuse to be distracted by the yellowing dust of the world. We've seen how predictably we fall into the 5 stages of distraction. We've seen the flash-forward effect vividly illustrate how the vibrant green of our lives can instantly turn to dust, totally skipping the harvest we feel so entitled to. The speed of life is terrifying for sure, but it's also a wake-up call. It's a call to action. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought to deeply consider as you go back to your day. If the worldly harvest you're working so hard for is nothing but an illusion, what are you actually racing toward?